India-Canada ties have hit an all-time low this week after allegations by Canadian Federal Police suggested that agents of Delhi are working with organized criminals, including the Bishnoi gang, to quote-unquote target the South Asian community, specifically pro-Khalistani elements in Canada. The allegations have been preceded by each side ejecting 6 diplomats, including high-ranking envoys like Canada's acting High Commissioner, Stuart Wheeler, and India's High Commissioner, Sanjay Verma. In the past 1 year, since the Canadian government levelled false charges of India having credible allegations of potential link to the Nijjar case, no proof has surfaced. As Trudeau doubles down, today we present India's point-by-point rebuttal.
So yes, I mean, it is targeting the South Asian community, but what we've seen is there's specific targeting of pro-Khalistani elements in Canada, or members of the pro-Khalistani movement.
And just to follow up, when we're talking about extortions, organized crime being used, we within the community have seen that folks that are targeted in these incidents are not just people that are linked to the Khalistani movement or the Sikh self-determination movement.
Joining us live is Bhashpati Mukherjee, former diplomat. We also have Sumit Peer, political commentator, live with us. Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, joins us live. Sanjay Lazar, CEO of Avialaz, is also with us on the broadcast. Let me make a start with you first, Ambassador Mukherjee. Big development, of course, playing out in this standoff between India and Canada. What do you make of the Canadian response to this move by India?
The move by India was in response to Canada's action. Aggressive, provocative, without any basis whatsoever, and giving the impression that India, a respected, emerged country, a country of 180 billion people, that we would indulge in such shenanigans as to link up with gangsters who are in our prison cells and with their assistance start targeting known terrorists whom they are harboring for their own domestic agenda back in Canada. This really takes to a new low what the Canadian Prime Minister is doing, and I really wonder if Canada, which I always thought was a very respectable country, really deserves such a man as at their helm, because what he is doing is he is single-handedly destroying a vibrant bilateral relationship which for decades had functioned extremely well until the Kanishka came down and his own father, so it seems to be a father-to-son problem, refused to take any action when it was known who were the perpetrators of that terrible misadventure, when most of those who were killed were Canadian citizens. Now he's taken it to a new low, and he's taking it to a point of no return. Because if he continues in this manner, I am very sorry for that to say on national television that it could result in India breaking diplomatic relations with Canada. That would be a very drastic move because there's a huge diaspora. The diaspora is desperate. The diaspora is telephoning their friends and relatives, including me. I have many friends. I have my sister there. They are worried. They don't support this fringe element. They say that this is being done because Trudeau has to pass his budget in February. That fringe element has withdrawn its support. He is going all out to get them back on his side. But in the process, he is actually destroying one of the most important bilateral relationships that India has with Canada and Canada has with India. And there is no doubt that if he continues in this manner and encourages the Canadian Royal Mounted Police to make the kind of allegations they've made in public, what can a respectable country do but break diplomatic relations? I think we are fast approaching the point when we will have to break diplomatic relations.
All right. Well, that will be, of course, a very serious development, as you're saying, but it looks perhaps in the offing. Let me draw in Sumit Peer in at this point. Sumit, what do you make of, the constant, allegations being levelled by Canada, their response, of course, to this move by India, and how India so far has handled this situation?
Uday, thank you very much for having me on your show. This show is very important because what we have seen right now is a movement of pride for all of the Indians, because this is exactly what the government of India should have done. And full congratulations to Prime Minister Modi and Dr. Jaishankar for exactly giving them what they deserve. In fact, they have been testing our patience for too long. I have seen a video yesterday on the social media. They had made a effigy of our ambassador there, High Commissioner there, and somebody was shooting with a gun, and they were burning that effigy. Though it was banned on India, but somebody sent me from Canada. When I looked through that video, it was heartbreaking. How could you do this? And your police has the audacity to write us a letter through their ambassador on a Sunday that your ambassador, who has a service of 26 or 36 years, a distinct service, served in all the Western countries, America, all China, all the major powers of the world, that he is involved with the gang of a gangster who's in jail, and you are trying to eliminate some people on, ground, and this is, we want to investigate him. Now, where is the diplomatic, protocols? Where is the diplomatic immunity? Where are those things? Now, can your police wala walk and start, questioning ambassadors? If you want to have that privilege, we have a lot of police here, and we have a lot of state polices here. We can tomorrow go and pull any ambassador out of any embassy and start doing this. Where on the earth does the local police have the authority to go and question ambassador? What happens to diplomatic immunity? And you have been always repeating the same old broken record, Nijjar, Nijjar, Nijjar. Where is the proof? Until yesterday 5:30, when they were called in by MEA, they did not give us a proof. Last 1.5 years, you have been repeating the same thing. Where is the proof? And yesterday there was a press release that we are given all the proof. When we told you that we are calling our ambassadors back, when we have issued a demarching order to your staff, then you are saying we have given some proof. If you had the proof, you should have given it in last 1.5 years. You have been always peddling your lies, because I was very candid on your show and your channel. It's the only country where K elements, I will not call them Khalistanis, where the K elements have entered and infiltrated the government. They have not infiltrated the government. They are able to manage the policies of the government. Forget the domestic policies of the government. They are able to dictate the international policies of the government. And this person, who I'm sorry is a failed actor, is a failed model, is a failed businessman, now as of course a failed prime minister in making. Now this man has, taken a war. He has started a war with the world's largest democracy for no rhyme, reason and logic. And how come his police, I don't know what you call the mounted police, by kis ghade ghore pe baithte, I don't want to talk even that. Now what is their business and all doing all this? The challenge here is he's a very incompetent man. He just wants to stick to the power, and he is riding the fringe. I have seen Canadian media reports of that, and there are a lot of media outlets in Canada. They are making fun of him. They are criticizing his last visit to India. They are questioning the outcome of the visit. How can somebody be so selfish, and how can somebody put the future of so many Canadians and our diaspora there in a jeopardy? Because you want to be in power, you want to be controlling things. You are a person who has gone against the world's biggest democracy and the most popular leader of the world, Narendra Modi ji. We have been very patient with you. You have threatened our High Commissioner, you have threatened our External Affairs Minister, you have threatened our Prime Minister. Still, we have been very patient with you. But yesterday, वो कहता है ना Lakshman Rekha होती है. You have crossed the Lakshman Rekha. You crossed the Lakshman Rekha. We said enough is enough. Within 2 hours, we showed you the power of India. And let me tell you, they did not expel Indian diplomats. We pulled back our diplomatic staff. We asked their diplomats to leave. We have no relation with Bishnoi. There is nothing Bishnoi has done there. There is not a shred of evidence they have. And this Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I think people live in Jurassic era. I don't know which horses or mules do they ride, but they really need to ride the reality. What happened to that Baloch girl which was killed? What happened to the Sikh leader who was pro-India was killed? Have you able to find anybody? Have you solved all the crimes here? Chinese intelligence, the ISI intelligence, it has become a backyard for them to do whatever they want. What is the crime rate in Canada? Now, out of the whole of the Canada and whole of the crime of Canada, you have found one person, that is our ambassador. And that's our High Commissioner. You want to go and question him around some alleged killing of a terrorist. And let us not forget, Nijjar was a terrorist with an AK-47. Nijjar was a terrorist who went to Pakistan to get trained. Nijjar was a terrorist who was training terrorists in Canada. And if this is the kind of political patronage you give to the terrorists, and that's what MEA yesterday said, Canada has become a land where terrorists are getting patronage, anti-India elements, separatist elements, they are given complete patronage and political coverage there. That is what the reality of the life is. And there's a limit India can take it. We have done everything. But beyond that, every, push comes to shove, you have to call it a day one, and that is what exactly we did. What Canada is doing is completely atrocious, uncalled for, unethical, and unbelievable in today's time. I think this is worse than Chinese diplomacy. We used to call Chinese this wolf warrior diplomacy. I don't know what kind of a diplomacy will be called. Theodore Doctrine or something. It will be a new name of the diplomacy. It will be taught to a lot of our IFS officers. How can a country mess up with a world star, largest democracy like this? And you know what Modi ji rightly said? वंशवाद सबसे बड़ा दुश्मन है डेमोक्रेसी का. Thus, this dynastic politics is the biggest enemy of the democracy. If there was no dynastic politics there, this man won't be there because he's his papa's son. That is why he's there. If this papa's son was not there, Canada would have an able, competent leader, and able and competent leaders who are not dynastic, who rise to power on their merits, would have not done such an atrocious act. I mean, it's for the people of Canada to choose whom they want to vote for. But he has let Canada down. He has let democracies down. That's what I can say over there.
All right, let me in fact quickly take that to Surinder Singh Lali as well. Surinder Singh Lali, the fact is, that this crisis and standoff between the two nations only seems to be widening with each passing day. Where do you see the situation headed, and what, according to you, has been the trigger for this fresh escalation?
Thank you, and that's a fantastic question. What is the trigger? I mean, I don't know what sort of rocket scientist this Justin Trudeau is, and I don't know how to demystify his thought process, but I've just made 5 points out of, some of it could be possible. Number one, is he plainly that foolish enough to ruin a relationship between two democracies, two partners, large diaspora, 400,000 students, 2 million, Indians staying in Canada, to do what? Just to save his dwindling political career, which anyway is going to go south by next year. Is he being run, or the shots are being called by the southern neighbor? Please understand, I have a feeling that there should be, and there could be the United States of America also influencing him, because he's at the end of the day a wingman. And if you see both the controversies, they are trying to link also from both Nijjar and Pannu. That's what they're trying to link it. And no wonder that the case has gone to the Southern District of New York City, where 3 people from the government of India have left to defend or express our point of view. Number 3, is he trying to take away focus from the huge, humongous influence of the Chinese in Canada, because he's facing a query too. And an inquiry too, and he has to appear before the inquiry. So maybe he's trying to evade that. And as Mr. P rightly said, and of course Ambassador Mukherjee too, I mean, this seems to be a genetical disease, because his father did the same mess up in the 80s when Indira Gandhi asked him to extradite, Parmar. They had all information that 2 Johnnies were going and, using explosives just outside the city limits. But he didn't pay any heed to it. And look what happened. We lost a plane, and Sanjay ji will enlighten you more on that, so I'm not going to waste my time and energy on that. Now, in an act of the biggest Freudian slip in the world, Pierre Trudeau calls up Rajiv Gandhi and expresses condolences for the loss. I mean, that gentleman should have understood that most of the people were Canadian citizens. So if anything, it should have been the other way around. So I think these father and son are dismally, they fail at, they failed at their political career, and as a bouncer and as a model, whatever he's been doing. My question now, my concern is, Uday, that the way the cyber kinetic warfare has been on, and there is deep penetration of the K elements in the Canadian way of life, so much so that the Prime Minister is beholden to them. Should we still be flying Air India out of that country? Because all it takes is one lunatic, and believe me, there are a lot of them, especially given the K gang. And ISI is so strong too. So should we leave our airlines that vulnerable? I mean, I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it, because all it takes is one idiot. And, we could have another disaster, which God forbid we don't. So my concern is that we need to worry, because the way the pager bombs and all of this has been going on, we don't know. And my last point is, so much has been spoken, although the jury's out on the Nijjar case, and, supposedly we've been accused. Would Justin Trudeau have the spine to look up the GPS location and see where Qasem Soleimani was killed, where bin Laden was killed, And if he has the spine or the guts or the gumption to ask this question, he probably would, die of shame. So these are my limited points there at this point.
Okay, let me take that to Sanjay Lazar as well. Sanjay Lazar, where do you see India-Canada ties headed in the near future? What direction is this crisis now going to take next? Is a complete break-off in the offing, as Ambassador Mukherjee was suggesting earlier, or do you believe there can be some salvaging?
Thank you, Uday, for having me on your show. And the eminent guests who preceded me, Ambassador Mukherjee, Peerji, Lalisa Saab, have all spoken in depth about this issue. I just wanted to make a few points. One is, rightly said, Nijjar was a terrorist. Not one person has realized that on the day he was killed, he was on the no-fly list of the US as well as Canada. His bank accounts were frozen. His properties were seized in India and the US. Who did that? The US government and the Indian government and the Canadian government. So he was a terrorist, number one. Number two, the entire allegation stems from some, hocus pocus gangster who's supposed to have done this. Nothing of that sort happened. Okay, this is all speculation. This is purely an attempt to reach out to his domestic market so that he can win, get back the support of the let's say the radical K gang, who are now infiltrating again, as Lali Saab said. Even the South, the southern neighbor, is now both the Democrats and the Republicans have got enough of them infiltrated within the new campaign. So we can see that's a very dangerous sign for us. I want, to answer your question very specifically, I can only see Indo-Canadian relations going downhill. I would like, and I congratulate our Prime Minister, our External Affairs Minister, for the bold, brave steps they took. I think all parties, bipartisan, we must stand behind Modi ji and Jaishankar ji, regardless of which political party you are from, because it takes guts to do what we've done. And it should have been done a long time ago. I lost my entire family in that bombing in the Kanishka decades ago. I don't want anybody else to be losing their lives, like Lali Saab said. 5 things. Indian government must issue safety directives to all Indians in Canada. Like the Canadians have put on their website, it's dangerous to come to India. Number 2, advise students to return home. There are 437,000 students. We spend over $120 million a year only on fees in that country. Indians, bring them home, because you don't want to have, them getting attacked or impacted. The third thing is, please tell airlines flying in and out of Canada to ramp up security as though you're facing a bomb threat every day. Make it 5 hours security if you have to, or stop flights, one of the two. And, let's start the isolation of Canada from the Indian economy. It's very important. There is a trade deficit between the two countries. Canada needs India more than India needs Canada in trade. Let's start using our economic might and restrict consular services both in India and in Canada, and let's take it step by step. The gloves have to come off completely. This nonsensical case is ridiculous. And look at what Panun has done yesterday, Sikhs for Justice. They've now put a $500,000 reward on the whereabouts of Sanjay Kumar, our counselor, our High Commissioner there. They put out a notice saying $500,000 US will be paid to somebody who gives information even after he leaves Canada. Now, if that is not terrorism, what is? I heard Mr. Trudeau speaking on TV in his press conference saying he respects the sovereignty of India. And yet at the same time, he's permitted 2 referendums within his country to break our country. Completely nonsensical. Completely nonsensical. Let's understand. I mean, they are playing with fire. They go, and this goes across party lines. Let me tell you over there. They attend parades of course, the Sikh religion. But on that, on those dais, they have pictures of our killers of Byan Singh ji, Indira ji, all our political leaders of the bombings of Kanishka. This is what they do. This has become their culture, gun culture. And we need to, I'm glad we pulled back. We are one step away from, literally designating them a terrorist state. Let's pull back our economic, muscle as well. I think that's, hit them where it hurts. It's important. That's the only way they'll come into shape.
All right. I'll leave the last word. Yes. Okay. Surinder Lali has a quick point. Yes.
I want to thank NewsX from the bottom of my heart because, the moment Sanjay ji said seeks for justice, I don't know how to react because you cannot use the name of one of the youngest, strongest and evolved religions with such loose elements who are not even worth wasting a bullet on. So thank you, NewsX, for allowing me, the space. I don't need to say that none of the Sikhs, there could be a fringe which are
Yes.
everywhere, but we don't subscribe to this K narrative. They are just useless individuals who, under the bogey of free speech, are nourished by the failures of Justin Trudeau.
All right, I'll
Thank
leave the
you.
last word to Ambassador Mukherjee.
Just to say, that Mr. Trudeau has unleashed forces that he may not be able to control. The way the events are unraveling there, including what I also saw on social media yesterday, like Sumit, which was a fake assassination of our High Commissioner, the complete violation of the Vienna Convention, the attempt possibly to even confine him or restrain him or to arrest him, which is again a complete violation of the Vienna Convention. These are measures which unleash certain actions which will demand powerful counter reaction because the Indian public is outraged and we are a democracy. Therefore, whether we like it or not, we are moving inexorably to crossing what we call the Rubicon from which we cannot return. It is for Mr. Trudeau to reflect that he is moving the two countries in a direction where once the Rubicon is crossed, India would have to take certain actions which would take a very, very long time to unravel again. And if it is being done at the
Right.
behest of the southern neighbor, I might like to add, the southern neighbor at the lower level is not being controlled at the upper level. So the strategic partnership is at one level at the higher level and is at another level is being mishandled at the lower level. The elections are on. Therefore, until 6th of November, I'm afraid that we cannot do anything as far as the southern neighbor of Canada is concerned. Udai.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.